Welcome to the study session where we are breaking down the BCBA 6th edition test content outline. Today we are diving into Task A.1, which requires us to identify the goals of behavior analysis as a science: description, prediction, and control.
It's the very first task in Domain A, and while it seems like Intro to ABA 101, it's the foundation for the 8 questions you'll face in this section. Honestly, if you don't master these 3 goals, the rest of the 175 scored questions on the exam are going to feel like a mystery.
Exactly. You have to think of these as levels of scientific understanding. Let's start at the base: description. This is about systematic observation that leads to a collection of facts about the observed events.
I always tell people to think of this as the just the facts, man stage. If a RBT tells me the client was being a brat today, is that description?
Not even close. That's a subjective label. Description in our science means we are quantifying, classifying, and defining what we see. It's saying, the client engaged in 5 instances of screaming, each lasting over 10 seconds, following a demand.
Right. It's about creating that clear picture so that anyone else can look at the data and see exactly what happened. Without description, we can't even begin to talk about the other 2 goals. It's like trying to build a house without a foundation.
Precisely. Once we have enough descriptive data, we move up to the second goal: prediction. This is where we look for correlations. We notice that 2 events consistently occur together with some degree of probability.
This is the if-then stage. If A happens, then B is likely to follow.
Exactly. Think about a non-clinical example. If I see dark, heavy clouds and the wind picks up, I can predict it's going to rain. I'm not causing the rain, but I see the correlation. In a clinic, if I notice that every time a specific peer walks into the room, my client's heart rate increases and they start pacing, I've found a correlation. I can predict a blow-up is coming.
But here is where the exam will try to trip you up. Students often mistake prediction for causation. Just because the peer's arrival predicts the pacing doesn't mean the peer is the cause. Maybe that peer always carries a specific toy that emits a high-pitched noise the client hates.
That is such a crucial point. Prediction only tells us that 2 things are related, it doesn't tell us why. To get to the why, we need the third and highest goal of science: control.
The Holy Grail. This is where we demonstrate a functional relation.
To show control, we have to manipulate the environment. We change an independent variable, usually our intervention, and see if it reliably produces a specific change in the dependent variable, which is the behavior.
This is where we move from being observers to being scientists. We're essentially proving that X caused Y. It's the difference between saying, I think the iPad makes him happy, and systematically providing the iPad, seeing the behavior improve, taking it away, seeing it drops, and then bringing it back to see it improve again.
And that leads us directly into Domain D, experimental design. When you see questions about reversal designs or multi-element designs, the test is really asking, did this person demonstrate control? They want to know if you proved that your intervention was the actual reason the behavior changed and not just some history effect like the kid getting a good night's sleep.
I love the light switch analogy for this. Description is noticing the switch on the wall. Prediction is noticing that when the switch goes up, the light usually turns on. Control is flipping that switch up and down 10 times to prove that the switch is what's actually governing the light.
Perfect. And as a BCBA, you have to be obsessed with control because that's how we ensure our treatments are actually effective and ethical. We don't want to just guess, we want to know.
So, for the exam, if a question asks about identifying patterns or probabilities, think prediction. If it talks about functional relations or manipulating variables, think control. And if it's just collecting facts or observing, that's description.
It's a hierarchy. You can't have control without prediction, and you can't have prediction without description. It's a ladder of certainty.
And even though Domain A is only 5% of the exam, these concepts are the behavioral worldview that informs every other task, from functional assessments in Domain F to selecting interventions in Domain H.
For more practice distinguishing between these three goals in complex clinical scenarios, visit www.bcbamocexam.com.
See ya.
Bye.